Hey there, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for the rest of 2025. We're going to do something different in this reading. So each row is going to represent something different. Your first row is going to represent what is being revealed to you at this time between now and the end of the year. You have this security card and this abundance card. Pretty crazy that, pretty much everyone has had these cards that really represent security. And I blame Uranus and Taurus because Uranus will retrograde into Taurus in November, and Uranus and Taurus wants us to feel secure. That is like the main thing. It's really from, as I always say to you, Taurus, it's really from the position of freedom, like having the freedom to do whatever you want, having the freedom to spend your money as you want, things like that. So, definitely could be a little bit of a financial freedom thing that you're focusing on. You have a second abundance card right here, so that looks amazing, Taurus. You definitely could be attracting a lot of abundance at this time. I kind of feel like you are. And I also, I think I've said this to you recently, that I feel like Taurus's abundance is going to come from like upgrading, or just from an upgrade in general in your life. For some of you, I feel this could literally be like something that you purchase for your business or something. So it is popping into my head that way. So if you're thinking about making a business purchase or upgrading a piece of equipment or something, that could be what this is. That increases your abundance. For others, it's like a skill. It could just be that you are upgrading a skill or whatever, and that could be the thing that increases your abundance. But it's good. It looks amazing. In your first row, again, as to what's being revealed to you at this time, again, we had abundance and security in this row. We also have the Devil, the Knight of Swords, and the Emperor. It's pretty crazy as well that a lot of people since about the end of September have been getting the Devil, and I don't think this is bad at all, really. I think that really what's being revealed to us at this time is that there are things that are toxic that have been holding us back, and we could be releasing those things. And it kind of makes sense to me that this has been coming up so much for everybody. We had Uranus go retrograde in Aquarius, and now it's direct at the time of you watching this video. And, I think that Uranus, I meant to say Pluto. I don't know why I said Uranus, but Pluto was retrograde, and now it's direct. And Pluto retrograde, I think, can make us want to get to the bottom of things, anything in life. And it just seems like this Pluto retrograde caused people to really look into things that were holding them back, or toxic situations or whatever. So like I said, it's a very collective vibe that I get off of that card. You have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, I think you have to charge through something here, Taurus. I'm pretty sure I said something like this to you recently as well. Knight of Swords, I always say he's pointing this direction in the reading. He's running back to the past, or he's trying to run away from something, or maybe he's trying to avoid something. You have the Three of Swords right next to it. This isn't like a real heartbreak. I feel some of you, it's like if you're trying to do something in your business or your career, or even love, right? It's like if you've experienced pain in the past, having the Knight of Swords with the Three of Swords is kind of like trying to avoid pain, which makes sense. Of course, that we try to avoid pain, but I also feel this is encouraging you to push past it. I also don't think something is going to cause you pain. I think this is more the fear of experiencing pain, I could go start a new relationship, but what if they leave me? Or I could start this business, but what if it fails, like the last one, right? So I think the Knight of Swords is encouraging you to push past that fear of pain. You have the Emperor, which is about taking control. It really wouldn't surprise me if you get the Emperor a billion times over the next many years, basically, with with Neptune and Saturn going into Aries. This is going to be your second house, and your second house is where you get your value. I always say the first three houses in astrology I consider to be all personal. Even though we look at the second house as material goods, material items, money, things like that, value. It's also how you express your value to the world, and whether you like that or not. Sometimes I say that and people get upset, and they say, I just have value. And I'm like, well, actually you don't. So I mean, sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's like we don't just get value, unfortunately, in the world, right? So it's a nice thing to say that I'm a person and I'm valuable because I'm a person, and I do believe that's true, by the way, Taurus. But at the same time, it's like the world also doesn't care, right? And so the Emperor is you kind of like taking control of how you express value or how you receive value. And you have these two abundance cards in this reading. So, and you end with the Empress as well. So number one, very good for love. You have divine counterparts here. You have some good love cards. But I also feel this is very good for you kind of like sticking up for your value or what you bring to the world in general. And when we do that, then definitely we could be increasing our abundance, which is what this looks like to me. With the Devil, you have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, and, again, obligations, really crazy. I'm I don't know. I just didn't really expect this, but like everybody has been getting this thing about like obligations with the Devil and the Ten of Wands. So it seems to be like a collective trigger that we could all be experiencing right now where, if there are things we're doing that we don't want to do, we're probably just not going to do it, plain and simple. And again, this is good. That is one great way to value yourself. Don't do things you hate, right? And if you stop doing things you hate, and you value yourself, you're sending a signal to the universe that you deserve more. And so I feel a lot of you are clearly focused on that. With the Knight of Swords, you have the King of Pentacles. I kind of feel like he's just saying you're strong enough to push through this, like, fear of pain is how I feel this Three of Swords, or that's what I feel like it's talking about. It's like you're about to do something that you've done before, and, that didn't work out. And I feel for a lot of you, it's just saying you're showing up in a strong position. You are perfectly fine. You show up several times, as usual, Taurus. It really wouldn't be a Taurus reading if you didn't show up. You show up here. You also show up with the World card. So, you're kind of, and also the King of Pentacles, of course. So you're showing up in a strong position. With the Emperor, you have the Temperance card. Yeah, Temperance is patience. I feel like this is like effectiveness, really, is what's going on here. The Emperor, he's kind of like, he looks for straightforward opportunities. He's sitting down on his throne. He has his armor on. He's kind of waiting for an opportunity to present itself to him. And when he has an opportunity that's presented to him, he jumps on it very, very quickly. The Temperance card is kind of like doing things to get an opportunity. I don't know. This is how it's popping into my head. Like, I feel like this is almost saying, like, you don't have to put on a show to get an opportunity. I feel like opportunities are coming to you. Why is that important? I have no clue, but, I feel it's kind of like saying opportunities are coming to you. Next, we're going to look at what's been kept hidden from you at this time. You have this Trust card and this Nourish card. Yeah, probably where you should be investing your time, effort, energy. This to me right here is a very Neptune and Pisces. We have Neptune retrograding in Pisces until January, and Neptune and Pisces, it's kind of like normally we work on something and it's kind of like we see the milestones. It's like we start here and we can see off in the distance, or as we work towards a milestone, it's like we can see it. We know, okay, when all I need to do is put in this amount of work and I will get to that point out there and I will get closer to my goal, and there will be feedback. I've been talking about this for years. I think Neptune and Pisces, it wants us to trust ourselves more. And so it kind of removes the feedback where normally you can work on a goal. And again, you get feedback from like the universe, from people, from results. But maybe with Neptune and Pisces, we get less feedback. And so we don't really know if we're working on the right things or not. But that's not the point. The point is that the universe is trying to say, can you just nurture the things that you love? And you have this Nourish card. And so if you have a goal and you just love working on it, then it will probably be very successful. If you don't, and you're doing things for the wrong reasons, Neptune and Pisces will definitely show you that as well. Neptune and Pisces will dissolve anything that isn't isn't inspiring you or isn't fulfilling you. And so a lot of you maybe have been, working on things. Now, this is probably a clue. If over the past many years you've been trying to accomplish a specific goal and, and you haven't given up on it, then probably what you should be doing right now, right? Because it hasn't dissolved. And I feel like some of you might finally be seeing that and getting some results. You have the Death card, the Three of Swords, and the Four of Cups. I actually feel kind of good about this. Like, yeah, maybe what we are going to talk about here, maybe it sucked in the moment, but it's kind of giving me blessing in disguise vibes. with these three cards, because death can be a transformation or finally letting something go. He is, the Death Rider is going through a transformation to let go of something that has been established. We have the King that is dead on the Death card. The King being dead on the Death card says even things that we think will last forever, sometimes they don't. And, again, I think for a lot of you, you could be seeing that something that didn't work out in your past is actually a blessing in disguise. And I do feel this is a good thing. I also get like a weird feeling here that like the universe is trying to guide you in some way. I feel like you need to pay attention to your attention. You do have the sun in this reading, and we have the sun coming up over here. But it's like in my head, like this is going to sound weird, but I feel like there's a person over here that's like trying to get your attention. What the hell does that mean? I have no freaking clue, Taurus, but it's almost like that's how I see it in my head, is that there's like a person over there by the sun. Now, those are the two pillars from the moon here. And the other thing that I would say about the moon card, we don't have the moon card, but we have the two pillars from the moon. The two pillars on the moon are a distraction to the fool on the fool's journey, and they kind of like it's kind of a distraction, but they also kind of are telling the fool that he just needs to stay the course. He needs to stick to something. And I kind of get that energy from you here in this reading, that it's like saying there's something you have been working on for a long time, like I just said, and you haven't given up on it. And I feel this is saying you need to like see it through to the end. It's almost like the universe is kind of like saying, over here, don't get distracted. And the funny thing is, this reading is for the rest of the year, but I feel like saying this month, the month of October, if you're watching this in October, and maybe the beginning of November, don't get distracted. You have the Three of Swords. Again, I feel a little bit of fear of pain, like I already said. I don't feel terrible about this, though. I do feel some of you could be healing and practicing forgiveness or releasing something. The Three of Swords is all about forgiveness. We have to remove those three swords from our heart, and when we do that, we will heal. So a lot of you could be going through healing with the Three of Swords. You have the Four of Cups. Again, makes perfect sense with the whole fear of pain thing here, Taurus, because the Four of Cups can represent disappointment. He's been disappointed like 3 times before, and now he's being offered another opportunity to try again on whatever it is that he wants. And so I feel that for a lot of you. I would also be careful, again, with that Death card, with the universe is like waving you over type of message here. I would be careful of thinking the grass is greener on the other side. Again, sometimes I feel like the moon card, yes, I understand we don't have the moon card here, but sometimes I feel with the moon card, and you have the two pillars from the moon, it's like saying that you are very close to your goal, but you have to not get distracted. And Four Cups says it can represent thinking the grass is greener on the other side. So you can be working towards something, then you get excited about another idea, but really it's just a distraction, right? And that's definitely popping into my head here. With the Death card, you have the Page of Swords. Yeah, I would just keep learning with the Page of Swords. We're in a great time of curiosity. Like I said, we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Pluto's direct now, but we're going to be in the shadow for a long-ass time. So, and what I would say here is you still have plenty of time to explore what you're currently working on. And again, Pluto retrograde, even though it's not retrograde anymore, it doesn't matter. Like I said, we're still in the shadow. It really wants us to go deep. It really wants us to explore things on a very deep level, and that's what I would do here. With the Three of Swords, you have the Hierophant, you showing up about 20 times in this reading, so, clearly it's all about you, Taurus, this whole reading. And, yeah, it's a good card. One thing I would, if I was being super picky about this reading, and, just looking at some of the other stuff that's coming up here, Hierophant can represent inside-the-box thinking. We are definitely not in an inside-the-box time. Especially Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini is like, there is no box with Uranus and Gemini. So we have to be willing to like innovate, be rebellious, go against the grain, all those things. And so there you go. With the Four of Cups, you have what do you know? You have the Death card again. So basically the universe saying I meant what I said. Next, we are going to look at the adventure the universe is sending you on right now. You have this 11th house. It says community. You have this Jupiter card. It says abundance. Some of you literally could be like building a community or joining a community, and that could be bringing you a lot of abundance in some way. So I like to see that. I also feel that you are just like, the adventure you're going on is building abundance. It makes sense. We're at the end of Uranus and Taurus. I always say, like, when a major planet, like a big planet like Uranus, leaves your sign, which it will next year, but it's going to retrograde into your sign first. That's really when the rubber meets the road. That's when we really implement what we learned during that period of time that that planet was in our sign. So a lot of you could really be building something financially. Again, you are absolutely going to be innovating your finances over the next many years. So again, I think a lot of you could be making a lot of changes financially, or kind of like coming up with new creative ways to make more money. So that makes sense. You have the Seven of Wands, the Strength card, and the Four of Wands. Yeah, a little bit of resistance here. I personally like the Seven of Wands. It's a card of conviction. It says when you know that something is for you, it's for you. So I feel good about it, but I think positive brainwashing is a good thing to do with this card. But I would also say that I feel a little bit of a resistance. Like he's trying to defend his position at the top of this hill, and he feels like he's not ready for something. But again, the question we're asking in this row is, what is the adventure the universe is sending you on right now? And the Seven of Wands kind of says maybe you have to leave a comfort zone, or maybe you have to be open to some sort of new adventure to be successful. So I would just stay open to adventure and don't box yourself in, especially with that Hierophant energy, because I just think it's saying don't box yourself in. You have the Strength card. I feel like the universe is trying to show you how strong you are. Clearly, you are one of the signs that has developed a lot of strength. You always get the Strength card with me quite a bit. And the Strength card is about working on your inner voice, or your inner strength, or your inner critic, or your inner demons. She is taming her lion, which is all of those things. And now she is putting her work on display. She is doing something crazy. Who in the right mind would stick their hands in a lion's mouth? The answer is nobody. So, she basically is doing something that people are recognizing as something that requires strength. That is definitely popping into my head for you here, Taurus, that if you're going to be doing anything, that it needs to be something that definitely creates a scene, right? Maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're creating a big scene here, Taurus, in a good way. And you're standing out for your bravery or for your strength. And I think that not only this year, but maybe for the next several years, you're really going to be doing this. And I feel it'll be good. You have the Four of Wands. There is a little bit of love in this reading, so if you want love, there definitely could be some sort of commitment coming in for you. The Four of Wands needs to be your commitment to freedom, Taurus, again, especially next year, but also right now. There's no reason you shouldn't start right now committing to freedom. But again, you have to think about this on a deeper level than just oh, I'm free to do what I want, right? It's again, if you're doing things that you hate, then you are not free, even if it's one thing, right? So we have to be kind of a little bit picky right now. And if you're doing something you hate, either number one, you can change it. Can you transform the situation? And if the answer is no, then you have to leave the situation. I feel the first part of this reading was really saying something about the signals that you send off to the universe. Again, I think when we do things we don't want to be doing, we are telling the universe, I'm willing to tolerate this thing that I don't want to do. And so we need to be careful. And I feel by we, I'm talking to you, Taurus. I think you are we. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Seven of Swords. Yeah, Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, but I think in this reading it's talking about doing things in a different way, like we've already talked about, innovating. There is no box, there is no spoon, like in the Matrix, right? I think the Seven of Swords, he's stealing these swords from this army in the background, and he's sneaking away. So he's going to war in a different way. And, coming up with different solutions to whatever it is that you do is going to be good. With the Strength card, you have the Three of Cups. Yeah, very good stuff for community. I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about building a community, starting a community, joining a community, looks amazing for sure. And, you could be becoming the leader of a community with the Emperor and the Hierophant and this card and the community card. So, anything like that would be very good for you. I also feel that for some of you, you could be kind of reuniting with your tribe. So you could really be finding those special connections, not only right now, but I think over the next year or so, you could be finding a better group of people to surround yourself with, which is good. With the Four of Wands, you have the Fool. So definitely taking leap of faith at this time. You also go from the Fool to the World. It's kind of funny that we have the Two of Wands in between the two, because the Two of Wands, he has the world in his hands. It's almost like this is a moment of hesitation. And then we have the World. So I'm not really worried about it, but it's almost like he's kind of like looking at something that could be an accomplishment. The world is an accomplishment, an achievement. It is also the end of a journey. I always say when I have a reading where we go from the Fool to the World very quickly like this, to me, it can represent accomplishing something very quickly, but it's almost as if there is a moment of hesitation here. So we're going to look into that right now. Your next row is going to represent the pattern that you need to release at this time, or the story that you need to release at this time. I came up with this question because of you, Taurus, by the way, so this is all for you. It says, wealth of knowledge. It says, connect to the knowledge in your soul to teach and help heal the world. You have the spirit world. It says, your spirit guides are sending you helpful people and opportunities your way. Are you kidding me? That's all we've been talking about, is like opportunities and people coming your way. So really, there's not much to add there. You have two cards, I guess. I didn't even know that. You have the Justice card, Four of Swords, the Sun, and the Two of Wands. Justice is balance. The Four of Swords can be resting, relaxing, recovering. But what I would say here is that sometimes justice, I think, can represent a little bit of perfection, even though that's not really what I feel here, Taurus. It's more how you look at opportunities that come your way. The Justice card says, before you jump to a conclusion on something that's being presented to you as an opportunity, maybe you want to take a look at it, or maybe you want to take a second look at it, especially if you're getting an opportunity. Justice really pays attention to the evidence. We've had Pluto, in Aquarius for a little while now, and Pluto in Aquarius, I think there's like a part of it that really wants us to, again, get to the bottom of something. So, again, what I would say here for you, Taurus, is that you might be being presented with opportunities, and like maybe your first thought is that the opportunity won't work or that it won't be good for you. But it's kind of like saying that if you take a better look and you look at the evidence, there might be a much better opportunity than you realize. And, I think it's like saying that it would be worth it. It's kind of funny because, during Uranus and Taurus, I warned people against like get rich quick schemes and things like that and I said at the beginning of Uranus and Taurus that we would see record high lottery numbers. You can literally go to my lives and go to the separate by oldest and on my live tab. And I used to talk about this all the time, and I wasn't wrong. I was 100% right that we've had record high lottery, because Uranus and Taurus doesn't like luck. It wants long-term success. It wants us to build things for the long haul. But, what's popping into my head here is that some of you might be getting some opportunities that kind of look like get rich quick, but not really. Like, I'm not talking about some sort of like, bro sitting on a private jet selling you something. That's not what I'm getting here. But, there might be some opportunities where someone gives you an idea and maybe it sounds too good to be true. And the funny thing is, like, I kind of feel like, yes, maybe a part of it is a little bit too good to be true, but at the same time, there might be like an opportunity. I don't really have any specific examples, but I can think of many things that I've done in business that I got really excited about that kind of were a little bit get rich quick, but not really. Like not really. And it's like, the technique that I learned worked. It worked, but maybe it required a little bit extra work than, someone made it out to be. And that's kind of what I feel like you need to pay attention to here, Taurus, is like, there might be opportunities. And I'm not saying this is going to cost you money. It's like someone might say something to you like, oh, go do this in work or career or your business. And you might be thinking to yourself, that sounds a little bit too good to be true. I think, like, on one hand, you're right. Like, the way that the person presents it is probably too good to be true. But at the same time, maybe it just requires a little bit extra effort and it would be worth it. So, sorry for babbling here, but I think that you could be getting some opportunities this year that, maybe they're going to require a little extra work, but it'll be worth it. And, I feel the Justice card is saying it'd be worth it to experiment. You have the Sun, especially if it doesn't cost money, right? Like, if it costs money, then I would be more cautious. If it's something you can do for free that might waste like a week or something like that, big freaking deal, right? I would experiment. You have the Sun. The Sun is happiness, joy, peace. Best card in the tarot, makes the whole entire reading more positive. Definitely a lot of attention for you here, Taurus. So, if you're thinking about, again, building a community that requires attention, this could be very good. You have the Two of Wands. Yeah, very interesting message that I'm was kind of like getting here about the world and hesitation. Again, there might be a moment of hesitation on an opportunity that comes your way. Like I said, I think you're not wrong. That's like the funniest part about how I feel about this row. It's like, you're not wrong. The way someone is presenting it to you is probably too good to be true. But at the same time, I think it would be worth it to put the extra work in to make it happen, right? So, I don't know. If you get an opportunity like that, I would take another look, Sure, we'll take both. With the Justice card and the Four Swords, you have the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Wands. Again, someone selling you a little bit of a pipe dream. Ace of Wands is a spark of hope, a spark of inspiration. If we put more wood on the fire, it will grow. It's like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like, yeah, maybe someone's selling you a little bit of something here. But if you kind of look into it, it might be worth it at the same time. And so, there you go. With the Sun, you have the Two of Swords. Two of Swords, again, right here. Two of Swords, she's stuck in a stalemate. She is thinking this or that, but really something is going to go a different way. And, over here on this island. So, again, something is probably not going to go as expected, but still could be very good. I would definitely think about it. I would also, the other message I'm getting here for you, Taurus, like here, is that I would be careful of indecisive people in your life at this time. I don't know, it's just popping into my head. With the Two of Wands, you have the Justice card again. So, again, taking a neutral approach to an opportunity and exploring it and investing in it time, not money, right? Again, I don't even think this is money it will cost money, maybe a little bit of time. Then, I think that would be worth it. Next, we're going to look at what ridiculous goal should you pursue at this time. Again, Neptune and Pisces wants us to accomplish something impossible. You have this Wealthy Woman card. It says wealth, beauty, youthful, fun, charm, creativity, luxury, vanity, good life, high standards of living. Empress, literally, right here. You have this Unlocking card. It says resolution, revelations, openness, new paths, solutions, destiny, success, significant answers, and influential. So again, I think some of you could be really developing a following here, believe it or not, Taurus. Like if you've ever thought about being on social media or anything like that. But this could also be more personal. You could, the Emperor can be authority, and so you could be becoming an authority on something in work or business or career, but it also could be in your personal life. But I think that's what you should accomplish. I also think wealth is what you should accomplish for sure. Again, Neptune and Pisces, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if there was ever a time where you should try to do something impossible, it's right now. And again, we have the blessing of Saturn being there at exactly the same time. So Saturn is like, sure, if you put in the work, you can accomplish the impossible dream. So I say this to everyone. That's why that's why this row is talking about what ridiculous goal should you pursue at this time, because Neptune just moved back into Pisces. And so I think that, creating wealth, creating abundance, living the Empress life, this is you, Taurus, and, creating that abundant life is really the goal you should be pursuing. You have the Page of Cups, could be love for some of you. So if you want love, sure. But the Page of Cups is literally a dream. He has this fish in this cup. I always say that fish might not exist. It might be part of his imagination. But all I know is that he needs to bring that dream down to earth. So whatever your dream is, you have the world right here. The world is saying you need to bring that dream down to earth. So the world is like an accomplishment, an achievement, success. And I feel like you could be creating a lot of success or having an achievement at this time with the world. So I would definitely go for it, Taurus. I think you will be very happy that you did. With the Empress, you have the Nine of Swords. Yeah, ending the old story. This is very, we talk about this with you all the time. Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. So if there is an old story in your life, bringing that to a conclusion would probably be a very good idea. With the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is like a never-ending nightmare. With the Page of Cups, you have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles says teamwork makes the dream work. He's kind of creating those Three Pentacles. You have all these cards of community showing up in this reading. So anything you can do to work together with other people is good. There's one thing that I always say with the Three of Pentacles, that you need to be number one, right? He is the one that is getting credit for the work from these two people. So with the Three of Pentacles, as long as we are the authority with the Emperor, as long as we are in the driver's seat, things will go well. If we start to let someone else take over a project or whatever, then, probably not. With the World, you have the Sun. Again, damn, really good. Taurus, having the sun twice is definitely very positive. The sun makes the whole entire reading more positive. Again, this could also be excellent for you standing out and getting attention in the world. This might be a little bit of a fear at this time as well, Taurus. Like maybe you've been, I think Tauruses can sometimes be a little bit of a wallflower. It's not always true, but sometimes. And, I feel this is saying that it's time for you to stand out. And so I would be, doing whatever you can to get more attention, especially if you're creating something with that Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles is good, but, getting as much attention on what you're working on is probably the best thing that you can do with the Three of Pentacles. So I would definitely do that with this energy. I think you'll be happy that you did. But this looks pretty good, Taurus. So thank you for being here. And definitely make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy the rest of your year.